Now then everybody, thank you for joining me, welcome back. Today I'm going to be reviewing this Sigma 50mm f1.4 lens box because the lens I'm reviewing is currently attached to the camera. But don't worry, I will be also showing you some footage with the lens today and talking about it, of course I am. So yeah, what do you get straight from the box? Well, the box, straight out of the box, obviously you get the lens, but you also get this lovely lens bag as well, which is Sigma, got a little Sigma flap there, feels very premium, and you get a little bit of protection foam at the top there to keep your lens safe. Always nice to have, not something that I'm going to use or have used. You also get a lens hood as well to stop sun rays from coming through and to, you know, protect the lens in general as well. Always a big top tip there, always keep your lens hoods on your lens. If you do drop it, I mean, it's going to protect it somewhat, but if you do drop it, it's not going to protect it massively, but a little bit of protection is always nice. So in this video I'm going to show you some footage where I've looked at how sharp the image is across f1.4, f5.6 and also f16, so you can kind of see how much the lens loses sharpness in the corners, because a lot of prime lenses, especially ones that stop down to low numbers like 1.4, do suffer with those edges that are slightly out of sharpness compared to other f-stops. So yeah, that's something that we're going to be looking at. And I'm also just going to tell you my short-term review of how I'm finding this lens. So I have only owned this lens since February, so I haven't really used it a lot at all. Obviously through February into March, and then we've been in lockdown since March, the end of March to now. So this isn't a long-term review, and it's a very controlled review as well. But yeah, straight off the bat, let's get into the footage and talk a little bit about those f-stops and that sharpness. So straight away we're going to start off in f1.4. So from watching those clips, tell me in the comment section what you think to the sharpness of those three f-stops. Would the blurriness in the corners of 1.4 be a deal breaker for you, or like myself, is it something that you could work with? So for me, ultimately, it'd be very rare for me to shoot in 1.4 if it was on a production, a video production, which really required that shot to be spot on. You know, great for B-roll, 1.4 aperture is great for B-roll. It's even great for vlogging like this, although I don't have much room to move with. I can move backwards and forwards and I'll be out of focus. It's good for those controlled situations. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comments below. So let's talk more about the pros. So there's three main pros for me with this camera and two cons. So one of the first pros is ultimately the build quality. So it's a fully metal outer case. Don't know what kind of metal it is, but it's got this nice kind of shine to it, so it looks premium. It feels well constructed, and it's also got a metal mount as well, so it does give you that reassurance that it's a professional lens. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. That being said, I'm not suggesting that if you dropped it, it wouldn't get damaged, because I'm sure it would. The second pro for me is the size. So some wouldn't like how large it is, but personally I think it counterbalances the size of the Panasonic S1's body. So for me, the size is also really good. The third pro for me is both a pro and a con. So really, I suppose there's only two pros and one in between the two. And that's the motor. So it's a pretty silent motor, ultimately, in general, when you're focusing on something, which is great. It's great that it can be fairly silent compared to some of the competitors and lenses I've used in the past, which have an annoying sort of whine to them as they're focusing. But the motor itself is pretty quiet. Now, how does that fall into a con? Well, essentially, when it is trying to focus, because it's continuously focusing, and probably a firmware issue with both the lens and the body, they're not communicating properly. But when you've got it in autofocus and it's hunting and pulsing the background, if you like, trying to keep focus on the subject, it does click quite a lot, especially when it's coming to a stop. So the actual movement is quiet, but the stops it makes to adjust itself do make a clicking noise. So for me, that means that when using autofocus in a confined space like this, it would probably get picked up on my microphone. So again, just something to be aware of. It is a silent motor for photography. When it captures focus once and then does the thing, it even is quite quiet if you were to lock focus and not use it autofocus continuous. But just something that I'm aware of. So coming on to the cons. So what are the cons of this? The weight. So coming in at 815 grams, it's not the lightest of lenses, especially when I talked earlier about, you know, smaller lenses like this, vintage lenses that are relatively light, and even the 50mm electronic lenses I've used in the past are pretty light. Albeit not metal constructions, metal mount but not metal body, could be a factor of that. But it's not the lightest of lenses, which does mean that when you're putting the camera down, I'm always really conscious that it's going to be front heavy and sort of bang that lens, the precious lens, if you like. Those are really my final thoughts on the lens. It'd be interesting to know if you've used this lens, or if you've got this lens, what your thoughts are on it, if you've had this lens for a little bit longer, or if you're thinking of buying this lens. Have any of the things we've talked about today been useful? As always, guys, please like this video, please subscribe to the channel, that always helps, and please do comment and let me know your thoughts. I'd also like to sort of finish this video by thanking the guy who's made the music for me this week. So Jean-Paul Marin, thank you very much for your contribution. Absolutely brilliant music. Hopefully be working with you a lot in the future as well. So yeah, thank you very much for that track. And I'll see you all in the next video. Stay safe, and we'll see you later.